Charlemagne got on his soapbox today to give Donkey of the Day to Roland Martin. If you don't know who Roland Martin is, the man is basically a walking, talking encyclopedia for American history, particularly as it relates to Black America history. Roland Martin said that Charlemagne was spreading misinformation, and Roland Martin was 100% correct, because even in his attempt to defend himself against the misinformation claim, he also spread misinformation, and he did it effortlessly. So this is all in regards to a clip where Roland Martin was talking about Charlemagne. Charlemagne was of the opinion that there was no point in the Democrats doing the shutdown or not giving them the 60 votes they needed for cloture, at least in the Senate, because the One Big Beautiful Bill Act was already passed and the subsidies were gone, so what was the point, effectively? I'll play it.
You just said. That to me is beyond idiotic, because this battle that we're seeing is not solely about healthcare. Rebecca, I don't know what the hell that was. That was just bull.
Roland, what makes what I said BS? I said the healthcare is going to go up anyway because of the big beautiful bill, because that didn't include the extension of the tax credits to keep the cost down. That's fact-based. Okay, Mimi pointed out that some people were already receiving higher premiums since the beginning of the open enrollment period. People have been receiving notices of higher premiums. So where was the misinformation? Roland, you may not agree that Dems should concede and vote for the government to be reopened, but don't say it's misinformation. Okay, maybe I gave too short an explanation. Maybe I oversimplified it. Maybe I should be clearer for the audience, and I will right now. When the big beautiful bill, or as Reverend Barber called it, the big deadly bill, or as Jasmine Crockett called it, the big ugly bill, when that bipartisan spending package Republicans forced through, when that was passed, Democrats failed to extend the ACA premium subsidies that were originally expanded under the American Rescue Plan and Inflation Reduction Act. Okay, without the...
Stop. Now, he said when they passed the One Big Beautiful Bill, Democrats failed to extend the ACA subsidies. That right there is misinformation. How did Democrats fail? That makes absolutely no sense. So even I had to go back and had to think to myself, did Democrats even vote for that bill? I had to remind myself. The bill was passed with Republican support against universal Democratic opposition in both the House and the Senate. Nobody, not even John Fetterman, voted for that bill. Herein lies my problem when he says that. Democrats failed to get the ACA subsidies extended. How did they fail, Charlemagne, when they didn't write the bill? They didn't even vote for the bill. So how did they fail to get the subsidies extended in the One Big Beautiful Bill? It wasn't even their bill. This was a bill written entirely by the Republican Party. This was a bill voted on solely by the Republican Party. But you, with your weird-ass sleight of hand, just tied the Democrats to it as a failure of them to do something they had no power to do anything about. They didn't agree with anything in this bill at all, because the bill was designed by the Heritage Foundation in Project 2025 to destroy and to break down the federal government and all of the programs that people make use of. That's what the bill was designed to do. Why would they vote for that bill that's designed to destroy social welfare and social services when they are the only party that has been primarily responsible for the extension of social services and want to extend social services further? What responsibility do they have to these people to support them in their desire to destroy America? But I guess you're wondering, well, what about the original argument? What about what he said was inaccurate? So I had to go back to the clip from Roland Martin, and I'm just gonna let this woman explain it.
Erroneous. I mean, this isn't just misinformation here. This starts to like this is intentional disinformation. And for the audience, disinformation is where you have bad, misleading information that's intentionally targeted to a certain demographic. The demographic here is Black voters. The reason why is the Black voters are the base of the Democratic Party. Right now, the Democrats are in lockstep saying that, no, we're not going to give you the votes that you need in order to get this government shutdown. You Republicans need to come to us and work out a deal. And so by trying to talk to Black folks, so then Black folks can then talk to Democratic members of the House and Democratic members of the Senate to get Democrats to back down. That's what Charlemagne is trying to do here. What should happen if I was advising the Democratic Party is tell them, hey, look, there's some Republicans who have introduced clean resolution plus extension of the health insurance credits, sorry, not health insurance credits, but the discounts that the government will pay. So people aren't paying those exorbitant health insurance prices starting January 1. So this is disinformation that we're seeing that Charlemagne is doing. This is not just mistaken information. This is intentional, going after Black voters.
As she stated, there were actually two continuous resolutions. One was written by the Democrats, obviously. But there was another continuous resolution written by a Republican. I believe it was Josh Hawley. And in their continuous resolution, they included subsidies for the ACA. The Democrats were willing to vote on that bill. So that's where Charlemagne was wrong. But we have to talk about the charge of not just misinformation, because misinformation can occur when you're dealing with somebody like Charlemagne who has incomplete information. He doesn't even know about the other continuous resolutions that are just waited to be voted on, but the Republicans refused to bring the bills to a vote. They had the votes to pass the continuous resolution written by Josh Hawley that would have extended the ACA subsidies. They had the bills. They didn't bring it to a vote. But Charlemagne doesn't know that. But that's misinformation, right? He's not giving you the full picture. The disinformation, as the woman stated, comes when he's purposefully targeting our community, because that is what he's doing. And his argument from then, even up until now, has been that the Republicans are evil. He admits to that. that the Republicans effectively do not care about regular working class Americans, and that they are literally willing to do anything to harm those people. So in his mind, what is the point in us fighting against that if all we could get is, at least what he was trying to say, was perhaps what the Senate Democrats ultimately wind up capitulating to was maybe a vote in December. Because according to him, he was talking to some of the Senate Democrats who were saying that. And that was what they wanted to do, but there was another continuous resolution available that had to be voted on, but the Republicans refused to bring it to a vote. That was the ultimate outcome. When you listen to Charlemagne talk, he is driving home a narrative of do not argue, do not fight, just give in. That is his ultimate narrative. And that is where his disinformation comes from. Because he is purposefully inside the Black community, he has a very large platform, and he is actively taking shots at people who are just far more knowledgeable than him and trying to establish himself as an authority in this political space. He is none of those things.